hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. Cause nothing's real at this point. Tricks that were up your sleeve suddenly gone, never to be seen. You stand there with a nosebleed, confused as to why you didn't see. But only those that really see are the people who don't need to disagree. Their mind completely empty, free of the need to be seen by those who don't know how to be. It's a shame you don't have life figured out. If you did, you wouldn't need to scream and shout. Life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. You grew up thinking you'd be the most legit, high up, sat up straight, only be the best things in life piled up on your plate. But you soon found that plate was mostly empty. Yesterday's food and a mouthful of cheer up. Don't worry, eat your veggies. It doesn't always make sense. A few years older and you're sitting on the fence, contemplating if it's worth the stay. Or if you take that leap, will it all fall away? But we forgot one thing about life's choices. You and I never really had our own voices. We just stood around and waited to do what we'd been told, when all along you just wanted to scream into the phone. Life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. You grew up thinking you'd be the most legit, high up, sat up straight, only be the best things in life pile up on your plate. But you soon found that plate was mostly empty. Yesterday's food and a mouthful of cheer up. Don't worry, eat your veggies. It doesn't always make sense. A few years older and you're sitting on the fence, contemplating if it's worth the stay. Or if you take that leap, will it all fall away? But we forgot one thing about life's choices. You and I never really had our own voices. We just stood around and waited to do what we'd been told, when all along you just wanted to scream into the fold. Life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. I don't expect you now that you're all grown up to understand how it's all messed up. How should you? You couldn't even sum it up if the numbers were dumbed down enough, cause things never added up. We tried to understand them as full-blown adults, but the questions we would ask fall on the graves our past, because they're gone so long. So sad to bad, wish you could have had but didn't ever have the chance to say what it was that you needed to say, to get the heavy feeling off your chest, to breathe another day. So now you sit thinking about that fence. Would it have been better to jump instead? I guess we'll never know, but one thing's for sure, life hits you different when all you do is go. Life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. You grew up thinking you'd be life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. Cause nothing's real at this point. Tricks that were up your sleeve suddenly gone, never to be seen. You stand there with a nosebleed, confused as to why you didn't see. But only those that really see are the people who don't need to disagree. Their mind completely empty, free of the need to be seen by those who don't know how to be. It's a shame you don't have life figured out. If you did, you wouldn't need to scream and shout. Life hits different when it's figured out. But that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. thinking you'd be the most legit. High up, sat up straight, only be the best things in life piled up on your plate. But you soon found that plate was mostly empty. Yesterday's food and a mouthful of cheer up. Don't worry, eat your veggies. It doesn't always make sense. A few years older and you're sitting on the fence, contemplating if it's worth the stay. Or if you take that leap, will it all fall away? But we forgot one thing about life's choices. You and I never really had our own voices. We just stood around and waited to do what we'd been told, when all along you just wanted to scream into the phone. Life hits different when it's figured out, but that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. You grew up thinking you'd be the most legit. High up, sat up straight, only be the best things in life pile up on your plate. But you soon found that plate was mostly empty. Yesterday's food and a mouthful of cheer up. Don't worry, eat your veggies. It doesn't always make sense. A few years older and you're sitting on the fence, contemplating if it's worth the stay. Or if you take that leap, will it all fall away? But we forgot one thing about life's choices. You and I never really had our own voices. We just stood around and waited to do what we've been told, when all along you just wanted to scream into the fold. Life hits different when it's figured out, but that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose. I don't expect you now that you're all grown up to understand how it's all messed up. How should you? You couldn't even sum it up if the numbers were dumbed down enough, cause things never added up. We tried to understand them as full-blown adults, but the questions we would ask fall on the graves our past, because they're gone so long. So sad to bad, wish you could have had but didn't ever have the chance to say what it was that you needed to say, to get the heavy feeling off your chest, to breathe another day. So now you sit thinking about that fence. Would it have been better to jump instead? I guess we'll never know, but one thing's for sure, life hits you different when all you do is go. Life hits different when it's figured out, but that's the thing about figuring time runs out. You see, the moment you think you got it, your brain goes and drops it. You just keep on playing without realizing all the pain you're in. Every day a new way to stew and spew and lose what you think in life you choose.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Seems quiet. Too quiet. I'm Batman. Gotham is never safe without me. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Okay. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You can attach towers? Shut up. Impromptu performance this evening, which I must say was indeed a welcome distraction. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. You're very kind. This is going to be funny. Look. You have to understand something. Batman is dead. And he is never coming back. Now, it's Bookman. My name is Bookman 2.0. That's right. Excuse me. Good evening. Welcome How we doing? You like my shirt? I like my shirt too. It's a good shirt. It's comfy. It's cozy. And it celebrates Canada.
I'm lurking now.
Alan, thank you for the lurk, sir. Let me get that man a shout out. If you like book readings during the day, I'm just saying.
Ceremoniously to the surface, bouncing and rolling until it finally came to rest. Deflating its balloons, the onboard
Balloons deflated. Book bonk, really? Okay. I can't wait till we switch books. It will not hurt as much. Ow. God damn it. I need to make that more expensive. Right. Today was a good day. I got a new mattress delivered. Yup. Can't wait to sleep on that. It's gonna feel great. My back isn't what it used to be. I went to the dentist, and I didn't have any cavities. In fact, the hygienist gave me an A. Because I'm of this mindset, right? Like, when you go to the dentist, you have no idea what the doctor is going to say at the end of the visit. And for the past 4 visits now, today being the 4th, it's been no issues, good to go, carry on. And I'm like, oh, well, I said after the 2nd visit to myself, oh, well, the 3rd visit, surely he's going to say something. And the 3rd visit came and he didn't say anything. And I'm like, well, if it's guaranteed to be the 4th one then. And the 4th visit came and he said nothing. So now I'm just like, really? We're waiting till the 5th visit in January? Cool. Great. Love that. Of course, this is all just in my head. Yeah. Anyway. Wait, hold on. Sorry, something in Twitch just caught my attention. I see. Interesting. Okay, well, apparently I was able to just start a promo for subscriptions. Interesting. I had no idea. 35% off 5 gifted subs active. Huh. Or 5 plus. So I'm assuming it means more than 5. And I have activated it. I have activated it for 70 hours. Interesting. Do you guys see that? Like, do you see that somewhere on screen? I can't tell. It says it's supposed to be there, but I don't see anything. Oh, when you click the button. Okay, all right. Hi, Kay. Kay, you feeling any better? Y'all, Kay has been feeling under the weather. Please send her some loves and long distance hugs. She's not feeling too great. We don't like it when our friends are sick. No, we don't. You need some hot tea. That's what you need. Sadly, no, I'm not. I just gained a cough. It says 35% of 2 days left. Huh. Well, that's... Let's see. I wonder if that'll still continue when I'm streaming. Like if it's literally... Well, it's not... Yeah, it should still be here when I'm on Thursday, when I'm live on Thursday. Oh, so good. So good. Mad Locust, hello. Too hot for tea? Well, I'm in the basement, so it's nice and cool down here. Plus, my ceiling fan is on, which you can't see that, obviously. You just have to take my word for it. So it's perfect for tea down here. Also, remember those books that I said I ordered? They're here. Oh, let me get the puzzle going for you. I mean, technically, I don't have to get it going. You can start it yourself, but it's here. Supposedly. It's saying I'm joining, but... So the second book that we're going to read, so I'm going in reverse order, is this one right here. Almost Human, Book 1, Discovery, by Ashley Riveri. So we'll introduce that one here in a little bit. But the book that we're going to start on... There it is. The book that we're going to start on Sunday. The book we're going to start on Sunday. Evolving Hope, Book 1. Love Revamped. Because it is a vampire book, so revamped. Get it? Get it? Because it's vampires. Revamped. I'm in bed, no puzzle for me, just the bedtime story. Very good. So I'm going to read to you the back cover. I don't have the link for it just yet, but I will for Sunday's stream. But I want to give you a little teaser into what we're going to get into. Is that cool? Oh, can I do that? Is that all right? Do I need to wear a turtleneck Sunday? Yes. On the back, it has these words strung together in sentences that says, a suspenseful medical romance between an emotionally damaged ER doctor and a vampire in the Witness Protection Program. Tegan's a vampire on the run. With new cities and aliases, she spent most of her life hiding from her past and the vampire relentlessly hunting her, wanting to make her pay. Wyatt's devoted his life to running an ER and saving people, but he's battling his own demons, the nightmares that remind him of his worst failures. When Wyatt's captured while saving Tegan, his human blinders are shattered by the supernatural reality surrounding him. Tegan struggles to trust another, a foreign concept to her, and they both realize there are even worse things to be afraid of. Can they work together to overcome their pasts and find a future together? Will they allow their growing attraction to strengthen them? Or will they fight it and let it destroy them both? This is book 1 of the Love Revamp series. It's recommended that they be read in order. This is a fantasy romance between interracial fated mates, including hidden identity, kidnapping, forced proximity, and HEA included. This is told in first person and dual points of views. Due to the sexual content, language, and touching on some traumatic events, this book is recommended for readers 18+. So, that's a glimpse into our next book. Now, I obviously had a good look at the website and a good chat with the author. The author originally recommended book 2 because even though they're in order, you can read them separately, so on and so forth. They can be standalone, technically. But because of not reading anything that has to do with sexual assault, ever, I said I would rather read book 1, because book 2, even though it doesn't have it in it, it references it. And by reference, that is essentially disqualifying itself. So if you end up liking book 1 and you're like, heck, I want to check out the second book, just realize that there is a reference to assault. Okay? And I will say this in some degree again on Sunday, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. That we are reading from the same book. Yeah, so shouldn't be anything to worry about with this first book. And I did tell everybody that replied to me about their books that if I find out they forgot or misled me or whatever, not only will I stop reading the book immediately, but I'll also request a refund, because not cool. So this book is action-paced. There should be some drama, intensity. There should be some passion. But beyond that, that should be it. Okay? Came in late, what happened? God, you missed everything. Everything. No, I'm just kidding. I was just showing off what we're going to start reading on Sunday. Amlas, hello. You are awesome, looking out for chat and keeping our spicy safe. Well, yeah. I appreciate the thanks, but I don't want anyone to be exposed to something that they don't need to be exposed to. So I really appreciate the effort you put in to protect our listeners from triggers. I'm sure I'm not alone. Too few safe spaces for us. Exactly. There are triggers in this book for other things, so I can't protect everybody from everything. But the assault stuff, on the sexual assault side, that is something I can definitely do my best to look out for. Now, as you know, I never read ahead. That's part of, the gimmick of the stream, right? My reactions are legit, I have no idea what's going to happen. So if we do come across something, like I said, cord's cut and we're done. But I have been told that that won't happen in this first book. Now, the next book after that, Almost Human, this is book 1 of 5, I believe. And this is more like dystopian sci-fi kind of realm, so it's a whole different kettle of fish. And this one on the back says this: choices, thoughts, opinions, passions, these are what make us human. So what if these things were taken from us? What would we be? The controlling and secretive new American government has created a series of perfectly compliant, genetically modified human soldiers. Emotion, independent thought, and all forms of communication are forbidden. Their only purpose is to obey. Used as a pawn in somebody else's escape plan, Adele finds herself with unexpected freedom. She has been taught everything she needs to survive, except how to be human. Danny is one of the Harpton Maine's rich elite, but beneath the shiny surface of his perfect world lies a dangerous secret. Frequent bouts of uncontrollable rage and endless questions about his origins. A chance encounter with Adele leads to more questions than answered, and Danny will stop at nothing to discover the truth about himself. So there you go. Those are our 2 books. Spicy first, Cyborg second. But in the meantime, Redthorn, good to see you, sir. In the meantime, we're gonna do one more read of Sherlock Holmes. Yes. So let's switch over. And of course, we have our marble race. We're going to do the Grand Prix this time because, well, I didn't do a very good job of starting that last time. My apologies. I know you're all just dying to race your balls. I'm sure we all understand that it's not possible to avoid everything. It's the effort that matters. Yeah, and I mean, I wish I could, but then we probably would just be reading the dictionary, and even then we wouldn't be able to read the entire thing. So, gosh darn it. We would just stare at each other like this. And that would be boring. Okay. So, let's get the Grand Prix started. I'm going to change it to 4 laps. 90 seconds on the clock, folks. Grand Prix is a 16 race event. All the points are added up, and we'll find out who comes in 3rd, 2nd, or 1st when we're done. It's just for fun, though. Don't stress it. There you go. Kay's over there like, I would like to play. Can I play? Play. You hush? Never. Drinking coffee? Dang. Renato. All right, we're on chapter 11. The Man on the Tor. T-O-R, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that last time. Is everybody ready? I'm bankrupt? What are you talking about? I hope I'm not bankrupt. That would really suck. Which reminds me, thank you, Purple, for the 100 bits earlier. That was super kind. Oh, chapter 11. No, The Man on the Tor is just the title of the chapter. All right, anyway. I've babbled on enough. Let's get with the program, shall we? Insert English accents. The extract from my private diary, which forms the last chapter, has brought my narrative up to the 18th of October, a time when these strange events began to move swiftly towards their terrible conclusion. Really? Because we still have like over half the book. But alright. The incidents of the next few days are indelibly graven upon my recollection, and I can tell them without reference to the notes made at the time. I start them from the day which succeeded that upon which I had established 2 facts of great importance. The one that Mrs. Laura Lyons of Coombe Tracy had written to Sir Charles Baskerville and made an appointment with him at the very place and hour that he met his death. The other, that the lurking man upon the moor was to be found among the stone huts upon the hillside. With these 2 facts in my possession, I felt that either my intelligence or my courage must be deficient if I could not throw some further light upon these dark places. I had no opportunity to tell the baronet what I had learned about Mrs. Lyons upon the evening before, for Dr. Mortimer remained with him at cards until it was very late. At breakfast, however, I informed him about my discovery and asked him whether he would care to accompany me to Coombe Tracy. At first, he was very eager to come, But on second thought, it seemed to both of us that if I went alone, the results might be better. The more formal we made the visit, the less information we might obtain. I left Sir Henry behind, therefore, not without some prickings of conscience, and drove off upon my new quest. Oh, I think the bookfather won the first race. Oopsie whoopsie. Totally rigged. That guy's a fraud. Don't forget, when you're doing RPG game, you can also do !heal to get a tiny little bit of your health back one time per battle. 90 seconds on the clock. Good luck. When I reached Coombe Tracy, I told Perkins to put up the horses, and I made inquiries for the lady whom I had come to interrogate. Can I make the race screen bigger? No, but I can. You're talking about what's displayed here that I'm dragging around. Well, let me do this. Let me shrink my head. You can't see anything? Well, that's just outrageous. You should look better. I am such a meanie. I know. Now you can? Wonderful. You know what? We actually could just... Let's go hog wild here, folks. Let's do the thing. There we go. And then we'll move me right there. Now I'm just a creepy floating head. Ooh. Right. I had no difficulty in finding her rooms, which were central and well appointed. A maid showed me in without ceremony, and as I entered the sitting room, a lady who was sitting before a Remington typewriter sprang up with a pleasant smile of welcome. Her face fell, however, when she saw that I was a stranger, and she sat down again and asked me the object of my visit. The first impression left by Mrs. Lyons was one of extreme beauty. Her eyes and hair were the same rich hazel color, and her cheeks, though considerably freckled, were flushed with the exquisite bloom of the brunette, the dainty pink which lurks at the heart of the sulphur rose. Just be like, she's got brown hair, man. Admiration was, I repeat, the first impression, but the second was criticism. There was something subtly wrong with the face, some coarseness of expression, some hardness, perhaps, of eye, some looseness of lip, which marred its perfect beauty. But these, of course, are afterthoughts. At the moment, I was simply conscious that I was in the presence of a very handsome woman, and that she was asking me the reasons for my visit. I had not quite understood until that instant how delicate my mission was. In other words, he has no idea how to talk to a woman. I have the pleasure, said I, of knowing your father. It was a clumsy introduction, and the lady made me feel it. There is nothing in common between my father and me, she said. I owe him nothing, and his friends are not mine. If it were not for the late Sir Charles Baskerville and some other kind hearts, I might have starved for all that my father cared. It was about the late Sir Charles Baskerville that I have come here to see you. The freckles started out on the lady's face. What can I tell you about him? She asked, and her fingers played nervously over the stops of her typewriter. Well, you knew him, did you not? I have already said that I owe a great deal to his kindness. If I am able to support myself, it's largely due to the interest which he took in my unhappy situation. Did you correspond with him? The lady looked quickly up with an angry gleam in her hazel eyes. What is the object of these questions? She asked sharply. The object is to avoid a public scandal. It is better that I should ask them here than the matter should pass outside our control. She was silent, and her face was still very pale. At last she looked up with something reckless and defiant in her manner. Well, I'll answer, she said. What are your questions? Did you correspond with Sir Charles? I certainly wrote him once or twice to acknowledge his delicacy and his generosity. Have you the dates of those letters? No. Have you ever met him? Yes, once or twice, when he came into Coombe Tracy. He was a very retiring man, and he preferred to do good by stealth. But if you saw him so seldom and wrote so seldom, how did he know enough about your affairs to be able to help you, as you say that he has done? She met my difficulty with the utmost readiness. There were several gentlemen who knew my sad history and united to help me. One was Mr. Stapleton, a neighbour and an intimate friend of Sir Charles. He was exceedingly kind, and it was through him that Sir Charles learned about my affairs. Good evening, Cat.
Honk, noise, 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 honk.
Hi, Corgi. I do it to myself. I knew already that Sir Charles Baskerville had made Stapleton his almoner upon several occasions, so the lady's statement bore the impress of truth upon it. As soon as I heard the honk, I knew it was Corgi. Yep. It's either Corgi or Gemma. Those are usually the two suspects. Usually. Did you ever write to Sir Charles asking him to meet you? I continued. Mrs. Lyons flushed with anger again. Really, sir, this is a very extraordinary question. I am sorry, madam, but I must repeat it. Then I answer certainly not. Not on the very day of Sir Charles's death. The flush had faded in an instant, and a deathly face was before me. Her dry lips could not speak the no, which I saw rather than heard. Oh my goodness, I seem to have won a second time. Silly me. I didn't even know how I do it. I just click join, click start, and that's it. We're off to the races. Totally rigged? No. Come now, please. No conspiracy theories in here, thank you. She was silent, and her face was still very pale. At last she looked up with something Wait. Did I miss something? Am I repeating myself? It certainly feels like I'm repeating myself. Oh, right, yes, okay. I'm fine. When you talk like that, you remind me of Alfred from the earlier Batman movies. Yes. Good evening, Master Wayne. The flush had faded in an instant, and a deathly face was before me. Her dry lips could not speak the no which I saw rather than heard. Surely your memory deceives you, said I. I could even quote a passage of your letter. It ran, Please, as you are a gentleman, burn this letter and be at the gate by 10 o'clock. I thought that she had fainted, but she recovered herself by a supreme effort. Is there no such thing as a gentleman? She gasped. You do Sir Charles an injustice. He did burn the letter, but sometimes a letter may be legible even when burned. You acknowledge now that you wrote it? Yes, I did write it, she cried, pouring out her soul in a torrent of words. I did write it. Why should I deny it? I have no reason to be ashamed of it. I wished him to help me. I believed that if I had an interview, I could gain his help, so I asked him to meet me. I shall have none of it, Catbox. You watch yourself now, Yes. But why at such an hour? Because I had only just learned that he was going to London the next day and might be away for months. There were reasons why I could not get there earlier.
Hi, Cat here. I'm just gonna sit in my box and watch the stream, if that's okay.
Yes, good gay. Good girl. But why a rendezvous in the garden instead of a visit to the house? Do you think a woman could go alone at that hour to a bachelor's house? Well, what happened when you did get there? I never went. Mrs. Lyons. No, I swear to you on all I hold sacred, I never went. Something intervened to prevent my going. What was that? That is a private matter. I cannot tell. You acknowledge then that you made an appointment with Sir Charles at the very hour and place at which he met his death, but you deny that you kept the appointment. That is the truth. Again and again I cross-questioned her, but I could never get past that point. Mrs. Lyons, said I as I rose from this long and inclusive interview, you are taking a very great responsibility and putting yourself in a very false position by not making an absolutely clear breast of all that you know. If I have to call in the aid of the police, you will find how seriously you are compromised. If your position is innocent, why did you in the first instance deny having written to Sir Charles upon that date? My God, it's my lucky day. I should go buy a lottery ticket, I suppose. Weird. I tell you what, you join first. I will wait. Go ahead. See? All right. Join. The timer is timing. Because I feared that some false conclusion might be drawn from it and that I might find myself involved in a scandal. And why were you so pressing that Sir Charles should destroy your letter? If you have read the letter, you will know. I did not say that I had read all the letter. You quoted some of it. I quoted the postscript. The letter had, as I said, been burned, and it was not all legible. I ask you once again why it was that you were so pressing that Sir Charles should destroy this letter which he received on the day of his death. The matter is a very private one. The more reason why you should avoid a public investigation. I will tell you then. If you have heard anything of my unhappy history, you will know that I made a rash marriage and had reason to regret it. I have heard so much. My life has been one incessant persecution from a husband whom I abhor. The law is upon his side, and every day I am faced by the possibility that he may force me to live with him. At the time that I wrote this letter to Sir Charles, I had learned that there was a prospect of my regaining my freedom if certain expenses could be met. It meant everything to me. Peace of mind, happiness, self-respect, everything. I knew Sir Charles's generosity, and I thought that if he heard the story from my own lips, he would help me. Then how is it that you did not go? Because I received help in the interval from another source. Why then did you not write to Sir Charles and explain this? Well, so I should have done had I not seen his death in the paper the next morning. The woman's story hung coherently together, and all my questions were unable to shake it. I could only check it by finding if she had indeed instituted divorce proceedings against her husband at or about the time of the tragedy. It was unlikely that she would dare to say that she had not been to Baskerville Hall, if she really had been, for a trap would be necessary to take her there, and could not have returned to Coombe Tracy until the early hours of the morning. Such an incursion could not be kept secret. The probability was, therefore, that she was telling the truth, or at least a part of the truth. I came away baffled and disheartened. Once again I had reached the dead wall which seemed to be built across every path by which I tried to get an object of my mission. And yet, the more I thought of the lady's face and of the manner, the more I felt something was being held back from me. Why should she turn so pale? Why should the fight against every admission, or why would she fight against every admission until it was forced from her? Why should she have been so reticent at the time of the tragedy? Surely the explanation of all this could not be as innocent as she would have me believe. For the moment, I could proceed no farther in that direction, but must turn back to that other clue which was to be sought for among the stone huts upon the moor. And that was a most vague direction. I realized it as I drove back and noted how hill after hill showed traces of the ancient people. Barrymore's only indication had been that the stranger lived in one of these abandoned huts, and that many hundreds of them are scattered throughout the length and breadth of the moor. It's dinner time? Ooh. Okay, seriously, why am I winning? I'm not going to join the next race. I thought it pure luck, but for that many wins in a row, that's a bit unheard of. All right, try again, Kay. I think you were just a couple seconds too soon. But I had my own experience for a guide, since it had shown me the man himself standing upon the summit of the Black Tor. That then should be the center of my search. From there I should explore every hut upon the moor until I lighted upon the right one. If this man were inside it, I should find out from his own lips, at the point of my revolver if necessary, who he was and why he had dogged us so long. I hope he packs a sandwich. He might slip away from us in the crowd of Regent Street, but it would puzzle him to do so upon the lonely moor. On the other hand, if I should find the hut and its tenants should not be within it, I must remain there, however long the vigil, until he returned. Holmes had missed him in London. It would indeed be a triumph for me if I could run him to earth where my master had failed. I'm going to take a sip of tea. Okay, I'm not in this race, so if I win this one, well, there's a problem. Delicious. Luck had been against us again and again in this inquiry, but now at last it came to my aid. And the messenger of good fortune was none other than Mr. Frankland, who was standing, grey whiskers and red-faced, outside the gate of his garden, which opened onto a high road along which I travelled. "Good day, Mr. Watson," cried he with unwonted good humour. "You must really give your horses a rest, and come in to have a glass of wine and to congratulate me." My feelings towards him were very far from being friendly after what I had heard of his treatment of his daughter, but I was anxious to send Perkins and the wagonette home, and the opportunity was a good one. I alighted and sent a message to Sir Henry that I should walk over in time for dinner. Then I followed Franklin into his dining room. "It is a great day for me, sir. One of the red-letter days of my life," he cried with many chuckles. I have brought off a double event. I mean to teach them in these parts that law is law, and that there is a man here who does not fear to invoke it. I have established a right-of-way through the centre of old Middleton's Park. Slap across it, sir, with 100 yards of his own front door. What do you think of that?" Personally, I have no idea what he just said. "We'll teach these magnates, and they cannot ride. That they cannot ride roughshod over the rights of the commoners. Confound them! And I've closed the wood where the Fenworthy folk used to picnic. These infernal people seem to think that there are no rights of property, and they can swarm where they like with their papers and their bottles. Both cases decided, Dr. Watson, and both in my favour. I haven't had such a day since I had Sir John Morland for trespass because he shot in his own warren." "Well, how on earth did you do that?" "Look it up in the book, sir. It will repay reading. Frankland v. Morland, Court of Queen's Bench. Cost me £200, but I got my verdict." "Did it do you any good?" "None, sir, none. I'm proud to say that I had no interest in the matter. I act entirely from a sense of public duty. I have no doubt, for example, that the Fenworthy people will burn me in effigy tonight. I told the police last time that they did it, they should stop these disgraceful exhibitions. The county constabulary is in a scandalous state, sir, and it has not afforded me the protection to which I am entitled. The case of Franklin v. Regina will bring the matter before the attention of the public. I told them that they would have occasion to regret their treatment of me, and already my words have come true. Now, if you remember from previous chapters, this is the guy that has nothing else to do but figure out ways to sue people and make new laws. Like, he is capital B bored. How so? I asked. The old man put on a very knowing expression. Because I could tell them what they are dying to know, but nothing would induce me to help the rascals in any way. I had been casting round for some excuse by which I could get away from his gossip, but now I began to wish to hear more of it. I had seen enough of the contrary nature of the old sinner to understand that any strong sign of interest would be the surest way to stop his confidences. Some poaching case, no doubt, said I with an indifferent manner. Ha ha, my boy, a very much more important matter than that. What about the convict on the moor? Hey, look, I didn't win. Thank God for that. Well done, Allie. You did it. Now, I'll join this one, and if I win again, I'm just not going to join any of the others. Quite frankly, it's just not fair. "90 seconds. Off you go." I stared. "You don't mean that you know where he is?" said I. "I may not know exactly where he is, but I'm quite sure that I could help the police to lay their hands on him. Has it never struck you that the way to catch that man was to find out where he got his food and so trace it to him?" He certainly seemed to be getting uncomfortably near the truth. "No doubt," said I. "But how do you know that he is anywhere upon the moor?" "I know it because I have seen with my own eyes the messenger who takes him his food." My heart sank for Barrymore. It was a serious thing to be in the power of the spiteful old busybody, but his next remark took a weight from my mind. "You'll be surprised to hear that his food is taken to him by a child. I see him every day through my telescope upon the roof. He passes along the same path at the same hour, and to whom should he be going except to the convict?" Here was luck indeed. And yet I suppressed all appearance of interest. A child. Barrymore had said that our unknown was supplied by a boy. It was on his track, and not upon the convicts that Franklin had stumbled. If I could get his knowledge, it might save me a long and weary hunt. But incredulity and indifference were evidently my strongest cards. I should say that it was much more likely that it was the son of the one of the moorland shepherds taking out his father's dinner. The least appearance of opposition struck fire out of the old autocrat. Oh dearie me. His eyes looked malignantly at me, and his grey whiskers bristled like those of an angry cat. "Indeed, sir," said he, pointing out over the wide-stretching moor. "Do you see that black tor over yonder? Well, do you see the low hill beyond with the thornbush upon it? It is the stoniest part of the whole moor. Is that a place where a shepherd would be likely to take his station? Your suggestion, sir, is a most absurd one. I meekly answered that I had spoken without knowing all the facts. My suspicion pleased him and led him to further confidences. You make sure, sir, that I have very good grounds before I come to an opinion. I have seen the boy again and again with his bundle. Every day, and sometimes twice a day, I have been able... But wait a moment, Dr. Watson. Do my eyes deceive me? Or is there at present moment something moving upon that hillside? It was several miles off, but I could distinctly see a small, dark dot against the dull green and grey. Come, sir, come, cried Franklin, rushing upstairs. You will see with your own eyes and judge for yourself. The telescope, a formidable instrument mounted upon a tripod, stood upon the flat leads of the house. Franklin clapped his eye to it and gave a cry of satisfaction. Quick, Dr. Watson! Quick, before he passes over the hill! There he was, sure enough, a small urchin with a little bundle upon his shoulder, toiling slowly up the hill. When he reached the crest, I saw the ragged, uncouth figure outlined for an instant against the cold blue sky. He looked round him with a furtive and stealthy air, as one who dreads pursuit. Then he vanished over the hill. Well, am I right? Well, certainly. There is a boy who seems to have some secret errand. And what errand is even a county constable could guess. But not one word shall they have from me, and I bind you to secrecy also, Dr. Watson. Not a word. You understand? Just as you wish. They've treated me shamefully. Shamefully. When the facts come out in Franklin v. Regina, I venture to think that a thrill of indignation will run through the country. Nothing would induce me to help the police in any way. For all they cared, it might have been me instead of my effigy, which these rascals burned at the stake. Surely you are not going. You will help me to empty the decanter in honor of this great occasion. But I resisted all his solicitations and succeeded in dissuading him from his announced intention of walking home with me. I kept the road as long as his eye was on me, and then I struck off across the moor and made for the stony hill over which the boy had disappeared. Everything was working in my favor, and I swore that it should not be through lack of energy or perseverance that I should miss the chance which fortune had thrown in my way. Bloody hell, I won again. That's it. I forbid the Bookfather from racing. Someone needs to ban him. Just make sure he doesn't play. That's all. Good luck. Wow, Amlas was like, I can't do that. Corky's like, I'll do it. You know, you think you know a Canadian. Oh, and Kat's trying to do it too. Okay. Well then. I see where my friends are. It's cool. It's fine. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pause right here because we have more pages, but ads are about to start, so I'm just gonna run them now, get them out of the way, and then we'll keep going. not move my finger. You ask, we're just trying to fulfill your wishes? Best kind of friends? Okay, technically you're true. You are correct. Technically. Yes. Oh, and don't forget, folks, there is a poll in the general chat in Discord. But I'm pretty sure the answer is what it's going to be, and that we are starting a new spicy book on Sunday. Thursday night, we will possibly be doing some hell diving. Depends if I can get some comrades. If no comrades, then trucking for sure. What time Thursday? I typically start around 5 Central. So like 2 hours ago right now. Delicious tea. Fantastically made. Amras, my hubby, might be able to join if you would like. That would be wonderful. And be sure to have him join the Discord, please, because that is where we shall chat with our voices. All right. Ad break is done. Get back to work. Crack, crack. All right. The sun was already sinking when I reached the summit of the hill, and the long slopes beneath me were all golden green on one side and grey shadow on the other. A haze lay low upon the farthest skyline, out of which jutted the fantastic shapes of Belliver and Vixen Tor. Over the wide expanse there was no sound and no movement. You sent him an invite? Wonderful, thank you. One great grey bird, a gull or curlew, soared aloft in the blue heaven. He and I seemed to be the only living things between the huge arch of the sky and the desert beneath it. The barren scene, the sense of loneliness, and the mystery and urgency of my task all struck a chill into my heart. The boy was nowhere to be seen, but down beneath me in a cleft of the hills there was a circle of the old stone huts, and in the middle of them there was one which retained sufficient roof to act as a screen against the weather. My heart leaped within me as I saw it. This must be the burrow where the stranger lurked. At last my foot was on the threshold of his hiding place. His secret was within my grasp. Catbox winning the race, taking the marbles by storm. Can she do it again? We'll find out in about 90 seconds. As I approached the hut, walking as warily as Stapleton would do when poised net he drew near the settled butterfly, I satisfied myself that the place had indeed been used as a habitation. Tonight's just not my night. Well, apparently it was mine, which is why I decided to not. A vague pathway among the boulders led to a dilapidated opening which served as a door. All was silent within. The unknown might be lurking there, or he might be prowling on the moor. My nerves tingled with the sense of adventure. Throwing aside my cigarette, I closed my hand upon the butt of my revolver and, walking swiftly up to the door, I looked in. The place was empty, but there was ample signs that I had not come upon a false scent. This was certainly where the man lived. Some blankets rolled up in a waterproof lay upon the very stone slab upon which Neatholic man had once slumbered. The ashes of a fire were heaped in a rude grate. Beside it lay some cooking utensils and a bucket half full of water. A litter of empty tins showed that the place had been occupied for some time, and I saw, as my eyes became accustomed to the checkered light, a pannikin and a half-full bottle of spirit standing in the corner. In the middle of the hut, a flat stone served the purpose of a table, and upon this stood a small cloth bundle, the same, no doubt, that Super was wearing when he gifted Amlas a sup. Super! Going to lose my place. Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that. You could have just said hi. Warrior of Nyx. Hello. Welcome in. Super, that was super kind of you. It has also brought to light that I have done none of my spins today. I wanted to make a comment on your mellifluous voice, if I can speak. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We are reading Sherlock Holmes, of course, so one must speak in such a manner. Also, one must spin the wheel. Speaking can be terribly difficult at times. Thank you for that follow as well. I'm sorry, Super. You've come close, but not today. But thank you so much. Amlas, welcome back to the club. You'll win it someday, I have no doubts. You are the winningest of winners, except for Thursday nights when you're too busy because you're playing baseball. Sorry, was that out loud? It's supposed to be my inside voice. Dry, welcome. Please tackle the puzzle. And now I've lost my place again. Cool. Ah, yes. Yeah. I found it. Fight, fight, fight. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Oh. Well then. Meow. Right. It contained a loaf of bread, a tinned tongue. Tinned tongue. It's the old school DVD thing, you know, the screensaver. And that's been used now for like 2 weeks, I think. Give or take. Yeah, something like that. Brown chicken, brown cow. Yes, I believe all you have to do is click on it down in the About section. And you too can be a floating head, bouncing around. Fubar. Sup. At least my icon zooms. It is very fast. This I have noticed. Oh, you can't tell right now, Super, but I'm indeed wearing your shirt. It's bloody comfortable. Next map, the boomerang. You sexy beast. No, you. No, you, sir. $90. Right. So yeah, it contained a loaf of bread and a tinned tongue. A thin tongue. I got a tongue. It's okay, Kay. You're on the board. That's what matters. And 2 tins of preserved peaches. As I set it down again, after having examined it, my heart leaped to see that beneath it there lay a sheet of paper with writing upon it. I raised it, and this was what I read, roughly scrawled in pencil. Dr. Watson has gone to Coombe Tracy. Interesting. Been having PC troubles, oh no. Well, I hope you get it figured out. If you need help, I can't help you, I'm streaming. But good luck. For a minute, I stood there with the paper in my hands, thinking out the meaning of this curt message. It was I, then, and not Sir Henry, who was being dogged by this secret man. He had not followed me himself, but he had sent an agent, the boy, perhaps, upon my track, and this was his report. Possibly I had taken no step since I had been upon the moor which had not been observed and reported. Always there was this feeling of an unseen force, a fine net drawn round us with infinite skill and delicacy, holding us so lightly that it was only at some supreme moment that one realized that one was indeed entangled in its meshes. It's a very long way of saying, I'm being spied upon. If there was one report, there might be others, so I looked round the hut in search of them. There was no trace, however, of anything of the kind, nor could I discover any sign which might indicate the character or intentions of the man who lived in this singular place, save that he must be of Spartan habits and cared little for the comforts of life. When I thought of the heavy rains and looked at the gaping roof, I understood how strong the immutable must be the purpose which had kept him in that inhospitable abode. Was he our malignant enemy, or was he by chance our guardian angel? I swore that I would not leave the hut until I knew. Outside, the sun was sinking low, and the west was blazing with scarlet and gold. Its reflection was shot back in ruddy patches by the distant pools which lay amid the great Grimpen mire. There were the 2 towers of Baskerville Hall, and there a distant blur of smoke which marked the village of Grimpen. Between the 2, behind the hill, was the house of the Stapletons. All was sweet and mellow and peaceful in the garden evening light, and yet as I looked at them, my soul shared none of the peace of nature, but quivered at the vagueness and the terror of that interview which every instant was bringing nearer. With tingling nerves but a fixed purpose, I sat in the dark recess of the hut and waited with somber patience for the coming of its tenant. And then, at last I heard him. Far away came the sharp clink of a boot striking upon a stone. Then another, and yet another, coming nearer and nearer. I shrank back into the darkest corner and cocked the pistol in my pocket, determined not to discover myself until I had an opportunity of seeing something of the stranger. There was a long pause which showed that he had stopped. Then once more the footsteps approached, and a shadow fell across the opening of the hut. It is a lovely evening, my dear Watson, said a well-known voice. I really think that you will be more comfortable outside than in. And I do believe that's where you would insert a dun dun dun. Ali won again. So that is the end of the chapter. It's quite interesting because, well, whoever this mystery person is, they knew that Watson was inside the hut. Pray tell, he had been there for what seemed to be hours. So had our mystery man seen him walk in and just went about his business until he was ready to return? Or was there something else at play? I don't know. The only thing I do know is the game is afoot. Watson knows this mystery man because his voice was one he recognized. Right. Let's do some shout-outs. Gonna shout out the user of death, also known as Ali.
You have good brain. No, this one. This one has good brain. No, this one.
that one.
This is like the.
You have good brain. Yes. And of course, we need to shout out the After Hours Broalition. Wait, it's not the. I always do that. Let's see if we actually get super in this clip. It could be one of three brothers, so there's a 33% chance. Let's see who pops up. Oh! Swing and a miss. That looked fun. Such a great laugh. Oh, good times. And of course, we have a tacky corgi. It's a race. A slug race. Good God, that was loud. And there he was. I'm going to be starting my own podcast soon. Eventually, we will air it on Twitch too. No way, that's gonna be awesome. That's cool, Kay. What is it, like, what is the concept of the podcast? Anything, you know, related to writing or oh, wrestling, that's right. I need to do a couple of workouts, a couple of spins. I need to spin the wheel. Let us do it. The Wheel of Games.
Push-ups x10.
Push-ups times 10? Come on.
You will buy me nothing. buy me something, I will end this stream right now.
Yeah. It's gonna end it. Brr. Need to move the cam so I can prove that I am gonna do these workouts. Well done, cat. Next map. Let's give it one more spin. Oh, it's my pleasure.
Regular curls X5.
All right. So we're gonna do 10 push-ups and regular curls times 5. Let's do it. Nailed it. And it's all thanks to you, chat, that I can keep in somewhat shape. Only 2 people rolling their balls. What? Love the shirt, thank you. It is a favorite to wear. I don't wear it when I'm woodworking, though, because I don't want to get it ruined, you know? Do not want to ruin the wood. The shirt. I don't want to ruin the shirt. We're not ruining the wood. Good grief. That was very poorly worded. Researching for a new chapter. Hopefully it's not, you know, too terrible of a process. But I can also I can say from my own experience when researching for writing that when the information comes to you like so easily and quickly, you're almost like second guessing if it's like, am I good? Am I legit here? How's the chairs coming along? Are you still overworking them? So the chairs are on pause for the moment because the area in the backyard that will become the fire pit has begun construction, if you will. I've already set up 3/4 of the exterior frame, and you know, I've got the black weed or blank the weed cover down, that black material, whatever it's called. So on Friday I have a delivery coming that's got my leveling sand, my pea gravel, the pavers. The fire pit should be coming soon. I've got the pea gravel glue that just arrived today. So I haven't, even the one that I just recently built, hasn't even been sanded yet. Never mind stained. So I will get back to those once I have a place to put them. Because the problem is, even though I need to build another chair, I don't have anywhere to put them. So I don't really have any more room in the shop area of the garage. So just kind of stuck. But it's fine. It's fine. We'll be okay. And I know you're joking, but I still need to like prioritize my efforts. And as much as I would like to build a second chair or adapt the first bad one, but I'm probably just going to rebuild it, to be honest, because, well, I am. I also want to try a different method too. Instead of using a whole bunch of screws, I have dowels. And so I'd like to try and do like a dowel approach. And that way it's screwless. Except maybe for the planks that the cushions sit on. Those I'll probably screw into place because I don't want them to move at all. But for like the back and the arms and, you know, the legs and all that stuff, those I'm going to try and dowel into place. Yeah. So that should be fun. Right. Let me just take a couple sips and then we'll crack on. Chapter 12 has a nice title. Death on the Moor. Why am I getting a weird text message? Hold on. It's Lowe's texting service, but they already did all this. So I'm like, why are you asking me again? K with the win. Okay. Great. Right. A little bit confusing, but it's fine. Someone wants to talk to you about the car's warranty? Yeah, probably. Oh, crap, I clicked join. Sorry. Well, you just have to beat me. All right, chapter 12. Death on the Moor. For a moment or two, I sat breathless, hardly able to believe my ears. Then my senses and my voice came back to me, while a crushing weight of responsibility seemed in an instant to be lifted from my soul. That cold, incisive, ironical voice could belong to but one man in all the world. Holmes, I cried. Holmes! Come out, said he, and please be careful with the revolver. I stooped under the rude lintel, and there he sat upon a stone outside, his grey eyes dancing with amusement as they fell upon my astonished features. He was thin and worn, but clear and alert, his keen face bronzed by the sun and roughened by the wind. In his tweed suit and cloth cap, he looked like any other tourist upon the moor, and he had contrived, with the cat-like love of personal cleanliness, which was one of his characteristics, that his chin should be as smooth as his linen, as perfect as if he were in Baker Street. I never was more glad to see anyone in my life, said I as I wrung him by the hand. Or more astonished, eh? Well, I must confess to it. The surprise was not all on one side, I assure you. I had no idea that you had found my occasional retreat, still less that you were inside it, until I was within 20 paces of the door. My footprint, I presume? No, Watson. I fear that I could not undertake to recognize your footprint amid all the footprints of the world. If you seriously desire to deceive me, you must change your to change your tobacconist. Geez, I can read. For when I see the stub of a cigarette marked Bradley, Oxford Street, I know that my friend Watson is in the neighborhood. You will see it there beside the path. You threw it down, no doubt, at the supreme moment when you charged into the empty hut. Exactly. I thought as much. And knowing your admirable tenacity, I was convinced that you were sitting in ambush, a weapon within reach, waiting for the tenant to return. So you actually thought that I was the criminal. I did not know who you were, but I was determined to find out. Excellent, Watson. And how did you localize me? You saw me, perhaps, on the night of the convict hunt when I was so imprudent as to allow the moon to rise behind me. Yes, I saw you then, and have no doubt searched all the huts until you came to this one. No, your boy had been observed, and that gave me a guide where to look. The old gentleman with the telescope, no doubt. I could not make it out when first I saw the light flashing upon the lens. He rose and peeped into the hut. I see that Cartwright has brought up some supplies. What's this paper? So have you been to Coombe Tracy, have you? Yes. To see Mrs. Laura Lyons? Exactly. Well done. Our researchers have evidently been running on parallel lines, and when we unite our results, I expect we shall have a fairly full knowledge of the case. Well, I am glad from my heart that you are here, for indeed the responsibility and the mystery were both becoming too much for my nerves. But how in the name of wonder did you come here? And what have you been doing? I thought that you were in Baker Street working out that case of blackmailing. That was what I wished you to think. Then you use me, and yet you do not trust me. I cried with some bitterness. I think that I have deserved better at your hands, Holmes. My dear fellow, you have been invaluable to me in this as in many other cases, and I beg that you will forgive me if I have seemed to play a trick upon you. In truth, it was partly for your own sake that I did it, and it was my appreciation of the danger which you ran which led me to come down and examine the matter for myself. Had I been with Sir Henry and you, it is confident that my point of view would have been the same as yours, and my presence would have warned out very formidable opponents to be on their guard. As it is, I have been able to get about as I could not possibly have done had I been living in the hall, and I have remained an unknown factor in the business, ready to throw in all my weight as a critical moment. But why keep me in the dark? For you to know could not have helped us, and might possibly have led to my discovery. You would have wished to tell me something, or in your kindness you would have brought me some comfort or other, and so an unnecessary risk would be run. I brought Cartwright down with me. You remember the little chap at the express office, and has seen after my simple wants. A loaf of bread, a clean collar. What more does man want? He has given me an extra pair of eyes upon a very active pair of feet, and both have been invaluable. Just like Amlas winning a race, quite valuable indeed, for which I was part of it, but not the top of it, rather bringing up the rear. I say well done. Then my reports have all been wasted. My voice trembled as I recalled the pains and the pride with which I had composed them. Holmes took a bundle of papers from his pocket. Here are your reports, my dear fellow, and very well thumbed, I assure you. I made excellent arrangements, and they are only delayed 1 day upon their way. I must compliment you exceedingly upon the zeal and intelligence which you have shown over an extraordinary difficult case. I was still rather raw over the deception which had been practiced upon me, but the warmth of Holmes's praise drove my anger from my mind. I felt also in my heart that he was right in what he said, and that it was really best for our purpose that I should not have known that he was upon the moor. "That's better," said he, seeing the shadow rise from my face. "And now tell me the result of your visit to Mrs. Laura Lyons. It was not difficult for me to guess that it was to see her that you had gone, for I am already aware that she is the one person in Coombe Tracy who might be of service to us in the matter. In fact, if you have not gone today, it is exceedingly probable that I should have gone tomorrow." The sun had set and dusk was settling over the moor. The air had turned chill, and we withdrew into the hut for warmth. There, sitting together in the twilight, I told Holmes of my conversation with the lady. So interested was he that I had to repeat some of it twice before he was satisfied. "This is most important," said he when I had concluded. "It fills up a gap which I had been unable to bridge in this most complex affair. You are aware, perhaps, that a close intimacy exists between this lady and the man Stapleton?" "I did not know of a close intimacy." "There can be no doubt about the matter. They meet their rights. There is a complete understanding between them. Now, this puts a very powerful weapon into our hands. If I could only use it to detach his wife." "His wife?" "I am giving you some information now, in return for all that you have given me. The lady who has passed here as Miss Stapleton is in reality his wife." "Good heavens, Holmes! Are you sure of what you say? How could he have permitted Sir Henry to fall in love with her?" "Sir Henry's falling in love could do no harm to anyone except Sir Henry. He took particular care that Sir Henry did not make love to her, as you have yourself observed. I repeat that the lady is his wife and not his sister." "But why the elaborate deception?" "Because he foresaw that she would be very much more useful to him in the character of a free woman." "Oh dear, I seem to have won again." "Not many races remain." "What shall you do?" All my unspoken instincts, my vague suspicions suddenly took shape and centered upon the naturalist. In that impassive, colorless man was his straw hat and his butterfly net. I seemed to see something terrible. A creature of infinite patience and craft, with a smiling face and a murderous heart. It is he, then, who is our enemy. It is he who dogged us in London. So I read the riddle. And the warning. It must have come from her. Exactly. The shape of some monstrous villainy, half seen, half guessed, loomed through the darkness which had girt me so long. "But are you sure of this, Holmes? How do you know that the woman is his wife?" "Because he has so far forgot himself as to tell you a true piece of autobiography upon the occasion when he first met you, and I dare say he has many a time regretted it since. He was once a schoolmaster in the north of England. Now, there is no one more easy to trace than a schoolmaster. There are scholastic agencies by which one may identify any man who has been in the profession. A little investigation showed me that a school had come to grief under atrocious circumstances, and that the man who had owned it, the name was different, had appeared with his wife. The descriptions agreed. When I learned that the missing man was devoted to entomology, the identification was complete. The darkness was rising, but much was still hidden by the shadows. If this woman is in truth his wife, where does Mrs. Laura Lyons come in? I asked. Back to work? Don't work too hard. Good luck, sir. That is one of the points upon which your own researchers have shed a light. Your interview with the lady has cleared the situation very much. I did not know about a projected divorce between herself and her husband. In that case, regarding Stapleton as an unmarried man, she counted no doubt upon becoming his wife. And when she is undeceived? Why, then we may find the lady of service. It must be our first duty to see her, both of us, tomorrow. Don't you think, Watson, that you are away from your charge rather long? Your place should be at Baskerville Hall. The last red streaks had faded away in the west, and night had settled upon the moor. A few faint stars were gleaming in a violet sky. One last question, Holmes, I said as I rose. Obviously, I should not be in the last two races. That just seems uncanny. Absolutely uncanny. Surely there is no need of secrecy between you and me. What is the meaning of it all? What is it? What is he after? Holmes' voice sank as he answered. It is murder, Watson. Refined, cold-blooded, deliberate murder. Do not ask me for particulars. My nets are closing upon him, even as his are upon Sir Henry, and with your help, he is already almost at my mercy. There is but one danger which can threaten us. It is that he should strike before we are ready to do so. Another day, two at most, and I have my case complete. But until then, guard your charge as closely as ever a fond mother watched her ailing child. Your mission today has justified itself, and yet I could almost wish that you had not left his side. Hark! A terrible scream, a prolonged yell of horror and anguish burst out of the silence of the moor. That frightful cry turned the blood to ice in my veins. Oh my God, I gasped. What is it? What does it mean? Holmes had sprung to his feet, and I saw his dark, athletic outline at the door of the hut, his shoulders stooping, his head thrust forward, his face peering into the darkness. Hush, he whispered, hush. The cry had been loud on account of its vehemence. But it had pealed out from somewhere far off in the shadowy plain. Now it burst upon our ears, nearer, louder, more urgent than before. Where is it? Holmes whispered, and I knew from the thrill of his voice that he, the man of iron, was shaken to the soul. Where is it, Watson? There, I think. I pointed in the darkness. No, there. Again the agonized cry swept through the silent night, louder and much nearer than ever. And a new sound mingled with it, a deep, muttered rumble, musical and yet menacing, rising and falling like the low, constant murmur of the sea. "The hound!" cried Holmes. "Come, Watson, come! Great heavens, if we are too late!" He had started running swiftly over the moor, and I had followed at his heels. But now, from somewhere among the broken ground immediately in front of us, there came one last despairing yell, and then a dull, heavy thud. We halted and listened. Not another sound broke the heavy silence of the windless night. The sound of goats baying in the water. Yeah, there's probably a screaming goat from a shark attack. You know, something like that. I saw Holmes put his hand to his forehead like a man distracted. He stamped his feet upon the ground. "He has beaten us, Watson. We are too late." No, surely not. Fool that I was to hold my hand. And you, Watson, see what comes of abandoning your charge. But by heaven, if the worst has happened, we'll avenge him. Blindly we ran through the gloom, blundering against boulders, forcing our way through gorse bushes, panting up the hills and rushing down slopes, heading always in the direction whence those dreadful sounds had come. At every rise, Holmes looked eagerly round him, but the shadows were thick upon the moor, and nothing moved upon its dreary face. "Can you see anything?" "Nothing. But hark, what is that?" A low moan had fallen upon our ears, and there it was again upon our left. On that side, a ridge of rocks ended in a sheer cliff which overlooked a stone-strewn slope. On its jagged face was spread-eagled some dark, irregular object. As we ran towards it, the vague outline hardened into a definite shape. It was a prostrate man face downward upon the ground, the head doubled under him at a horrible angle, the shoulders rounded, and the body hunched together as if in the act of throwing a somersault. So grotesque was the attitude that I could not for the instant realize that the moan had been the passing of his soul. Oh, K1. Not a whisper, not a rustle, rose now from the dark figure over which we stooped. Last race, which is a work in progress. Good luck. Holmes laid his hand upon him and held it up again with an exclamation of horror. The gleam of the match which he struck shone upon his glotted fingers and upon the ghastly pool which widened slowly from the crushed skull of the victim. And it shone upon something else which turned our hearts sick and faint within us. The body of Sir Henry Baskerville. Well done, Watson. You had one job. Protect Henry. And now, Henry is kaput. $885 words thus far. Nice. Well done. There was no chance of either of us forgetting that peculiar ruddy tweed suit, the very one which he had worn on the first morning that we had seen him in Baker Street. We caught the one clear glimpse of it, and then the match flickered and went out, even as the hope had gone out of our souls. Holmes groaned, and his face glimmered white through the darkness. "The brute! The brute!" I cried with clenched hands. "Oh, Holmes, I shall never forgive myself for having left him to his fate." "I am more to blame than you, Watson. In order to have my case well-rounded and complete, I have thrown away the life of my client. It is the greatest blow which has befallen me in my career. But how could I know? How could I know that he would risk his life alone upon the moor in the face of all my warnings? That we should have heard his screams. My God, those screams. And yet have been unable to save him. Where is this brute of a hound which drove him to his death? It's seldom is the darkness to know that the hound was on this trail. He heard him. To hear a hound upon the moor would not work a hard man like this convict into such a paroxysm of terror that he would risk recapture by screaming wildly for help. By his cries, he must have run a long way after he knew the animal was on his track. How did he know? A greater mystery to me is why this hound, presuming that all our conjectures are correct. I presume nothing. Well, then, why this hound should be loose tonight? I suppose that it does not always run loose upon the moor. Stapleton would not let it go unless he had reason to think that Sir Henry would be there. My difficulty is the more formidable of the two, for I think that we shall very shortly get an explanation of yours, while mine may remain forever a mystery. The question now is, what shall we do with this poor wretch's body? We cannot leave it here, to the foxes and the ravens. I suggest that we put it in one of the huts until we can communicate with the police. Exactly. I have no doubt that you and I could carry it so far. Hello, Watson, what's this? It's the man himself. By all that's wonderful and audacious. Not a word to show your suspicions. Not a word, or my plans crumble to the ground. A figure was approaching us over the moor, and I saw the dull red glow of a cigar. The moor shone upon him, and I could distinguish the dapper shape and jaunty walk of the naturalist. He stopped when he saw us, and then came on again. Why, Dr. Watson, that's not you, is it? You are the last man that I should have expected to see out on the moor at this time of night. But, dear me, what's this? Somebody hurt? No. Don't tell me that is our friend Sir Henry. He hurried past me and stooped over the dead man. I heard a sharp intake of his breath, and the cigar fell from his fingers. Who's this? He stammered. It is Selden, the man who escaped from Princetown. Stapleton turned a ghastly face upon us, but by a supreme effort he had overcome his amazement and his disappointment. He looked sharply from Holmes to me. Dear me, what a very shocking affair. How did he die? He appears to have broken his neck by falling over these rocks. My friend and I were strolling on the moor when we heard a cry. I heard a cry also. That was what brought me out. I was uneasy about Sir Henry. What or why about Sir Henry in particular? I could not help asking. I won 3, can't complain about that. You know, results are results. And I'll tell you who bestowed themselves a place on the podium here very shortly. The chapter is almost upon us. Because I had suggested that he should come over. When he did not come, I was surprised, and I naturally became alarmed for his safety when I heard cries upon the moor. By the way, his eyes darted again from my face to Holmes. Did you hear anything else besides a cry? No, said Holmes. Did you? No. What do you mean, then? Oh, you know the stories that the peasants tell about a phantom hound and so on. It is said to be heard at night upon the moor. I was wondering if there were any evidence of such a sound tonight. We heard nothing of the kind, said I. And what is your theory of this poor fellow's death? I have no doubt that anxiety and exposure have driven him off his head. He has rushed about the moor in a crazy state, and eventually fallen over here and broken his neck. That seems the most reasonable theory, said Stapleton, and he gave a sigh which I took to indicate his relief. What do you think about it, Mr. Sherlock Holmes? My friend bowed his compliments. You are quick at identification, said he. We have been expecting you in these parts since Dr. Watson came down. You are in time to see a tragedy. Yes, indeed. I have no doubt that my friend's explanation will cover the facts. I will take an unpleasant remembrance back to London with me tomorrow. Oh, you return tomorrow? That is my intention. I hope you visit his cast some... Wow. Let's try that again. I hope your visit has cast some light upon those occurrences which have puzzled us. Holmes shrugged his shoulders. One cannot always have the success for which one hopes. An investigator needs facts and not legends or rumors. It has not been a satisfactory case. My friend spoke in his frankest and most unconcerned manner. Stapleton still looked hard at him. Then he turned to me. I would suggest carrying this poor fellow to my house, but it would give my sister such a fright that I do not feel justified in doing it. I think that if we put something over his face, that he will be safe until morning. And so it was arranged. Resisting Stapleton's offer of hospitality, Holmes and I set off to Baskerville Hall, leaving the naturalist to return alone. Looking back, we saw the figure moving slowly away over the broad moor, and behind him, that one black smudge on the silvered slope, which showed where the man was laying, who had come so horribly to his end. Well, Stapleton certainly does seem like he is the villain at this fine hour. Well, would you look at that? I came in third, not second, not even first, but third. So, I guess that begs the question of who came in second. Kay came in second. Does that mean that the one and only Catbox came in first? Amlas came in first. Good job. Bravo. Let's see, 152 points, followed by K with 146, myself 137, Cat trailing at 90. Well done, Amlas. Good job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is where we leave things. The Hound of Baskervilles and the Valley of Fear. It's a very nice collection. Okay, you have a pleasant evening. Sleep well. Kiss, kiss. So as I mentioned, on Thursday, we'll be playing a game. Hopefully, Helldivers. Mwah. Depends who I can get to join us. It sounds like Amras might be in, which is great. I think Stunt Papa is going to play. I got to double check. And then Red said he should be joining a little later once he gets back. So we'll have to see. But if that falls through, we've always got truck driving. I mean, that's like an easy guarantee. You know what I mean? But as a reminder, on Sunday, we begin Evolving Hope. Our action-packed, twisting and turning romance. I'm told the spice level is quite up there. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. All right. Let's go find someone to raid. Put this over here. Pull this back up here. Just like so. And let's see who we have online. Need to game out if I can ramp and force a vehicle onto a train and if it will transport it. Interesting. Well, it's either gotta go up a ramp of some kind or come from above. If we're talking like, you know, true, genuine physics kind of thing. Stimulate as much as possible the fanfic. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I have no doubts. All right, I have found who we are going to raid to. Please copy the message. Have a couple of spots in mind to give it a go. Wonderful. Excellent. It's always good to have a starting place. And who knows? May end up finding option 3, and that's awesome too. We are gonna raid one of our mods. All right, at least I'm trying to. There we go. Now I got it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for the bits and the subs. Super kind. Super, super kind. We'll be back in a couple days. Okay. But until then, take care of yourself. take care of each other, and you have yourself a wonderful night.